BernNadette Stanis, the untold story of Thelma America's first black teenage television icon, walked away from Hollywood when she should have been conquering it. BernNadette Stanis made millions fall in love with Thelma Evans on Good Times, then vanished from the spotlight at the height of her beauty and talent. People wondered for decades what happened to the gorgeous actress who had everything, the face and body and talent that could have made her as big as Diana Ross or Halle Berry. Behind her smile, a tragedy was unfolding that would change everything. This is the real story of why Thelma disappeared and what she's been fighting for ever since. BernNadette Stanislas came into the world on December 22, 1953, in the rough Brownsville section of Brooklyn, one of 5 children in a household that believed education and determination were the keys to escape. Gregory, her father, arrived from the West Indies with fire in his spirit, while Ulla, her mother, brought sweet Southern grace from Louisiana. They were opposites who created something beautiful together, a family that refused to let the projects define their children's futures. Even as a teenager, BernNadette turned heads everywhere she went, and she knew exactly what that meant. Beauty pageants became her stage, and she dominated them without breaking a sweat. Miss Brooklyn came first, then first runner-up for Miss New York followed right after. The camera loved her in ways that made people stop and stare, and so did everyone who saw her in person. Bigger dreams than pageants filled her head, though, and when Juilliard accepted her into one of the most prestigious performing arts schools in the world, everything changed in an instant. 20 years old in 1974, BernNadette walked into an audition for a new Norman Lear sitcom about a black family living in the Chicago projects. The show carried the name Good Times, and what made it special was that nothing like it had ever existed before on American television. This would be the first series to feature a black 2-parent family, breaking ground that no other show had touched. Thelma was the role up for grabs, the beautiful teenage daughter who was smart and sassy and ambitious all at once. BernNadette didn't just want the part, she needed it like oxygen. When the call came through that she'd landed the role, she made a decision that would define the rest of her life and turned down Juilliard without looking back. Walking away from one of the best schools in the country to play Thelma Evans felt right in her gut. Ulla told her daughter something she'd carry forever, that the whole world would one day know her name, though she didn't mention it would be as Thelma. February 1974 brought Good Times exploding onto television screens, and the show became an instant phenomenon that nobody saw coming. This wasn't just popular entertainment, it was a cultural moment that shifted everything. At its peak, the show ranked as the 7th most watched program in America, beating out massive hits like Happy Days without even trying. BernNadette transformed into the first black teenage symbol on American television, grace and beauty and talent wrapped into one package that America couldn't get enough of. Thelma wasn't just eye candy sitting pretty on screen either. She was smart and driven, and represented something powerful for young black girls across the country who'd never seen themselves reflected that way before. Coming from the projects and still dreaming of becoming a surgeon proved you could be both, and that message hit home hard. 6 seasons rolled by with BernNadette dancing and acting and becoming a household name that people recognized everywhere. Behind the scenes, she grew close with the cast, even though tensions bubbled up from time to time. John Amos, who played her father James Evans, left after 3 seasons due to creative differences that nobody could resolve. BernNadette kept going, though, pouring everything she had into Thelma until the show ended in 1979. Everyone expected her to transition into movie stardom because she was only 25 years old, drop-dead gorgeous, and had proven she could act circles around most people. This should have been the beginning of her takeover. Instead, she disappeared like smoke. The years after Good Times ended saw BernNadette barely working at all, which shocked everyone who knew her talent. One guest spot on The Love Boat in 1980 put her in a red bikini that proved her body was still incredible, and she appeared in one episode of The Cosby Show in the mid-80s. That was everything, the full extent of her work. An actress who should have been booking major roles left and right suddenly had a resume that looked shockingly thin. Questions started flying from every direction about what went wrong. Did Hollywood not want her anymore? Was she difficult to work with behind closed doors? Did she lose her passion for acting completely? Rumors swirled through the industry, but nobody knew the truth hiding behind her silence. Something completely different happened in 1990 when she tried her hand at music and recorded a full album called Lover, a smooth R&B project that actually sounded pretty good to people who heard it. Distribution barely existed though, with only a few states even seeing it on shelves, and without major promotion backing it up, the album died quietly without making a sound. Everything BernNadette touched after Good Times seemed to fizzle out before it could catch fire. What was really going on? The truth was darker than anyone imagined or could have guessed. Tragedy struck the family in the most brutal way possible, while BernNadette was trying to navigate her career. Gregory, her father, had the body of someone half his age and walked through Brooklyn one day when a group of young guys attacked him from behind without warning. Teenagers, somewhere between 16 and 19 years old, hit him in the back of the head, and someone saw him go down, then watched him get right back up because Gregory was tough as nails. He came home that Saturday like nothing had happened at all. Sunday arrived though, and he told BernNadette about pain in his eyes that wouldn't go away. Then he mentioned pain in the back of his head that felt different. Before anyone could react or get him help, he slipped into a coma and never woke up. Gregory Stanislas, the man who came from the West Indies with nothing and built a family in Brooklyn through sheer will, was gone. Senseless violence took him away, and BernNadette was devastated beyond words. The nightmare wasn't over though, not even close. Shortly after losing her father, the family noticed something was wrong with Eula that nobody could explain at first. Forgetting things became her new normal. Simple things at first, then bigger things that mattered more. Then she forgot everything and everyone she'd ever known. If this video brought you value, hit that subscribe button and join the community for more powerful, untold histories. Alzheimer's disease hit Eula Stanislas at 63 years old, and the diagnosis shattered the family into pieces. Anyone who doesn't know about Alzheimer's needs to understand it's a brutal disease that slowly erases a person's memory until they don't even recognize their own family anymore. Black women face it as the sixth leading cause of death, and the disease affects the Black community disproportionately in ways most people never talk about or acknowledge. BernNadette watched her mother, the woman who told her the world would know her name, slowly disappear right in front of her eyes. The worst moment came one evening when they sat together watching Good Times, one of those episodes where Thelma and JJ were going back and forth like they always did. Eula turned to BernNadette and said something that shattered her heart into a million pieces. "That's a cute little girl," is what came out of her mother's mouth. She didn't recognize her own daughter on the screen anymore. The woman who had put BernNadette on that show, who had given her the face of Thelma, no longer knew who she was looking at. That moment changed everything for BernNadette in ways nothing else could. Right then and there, she made a decision that would define the next decade of her life. That she was going to fight Alzheimer's with the same face her mother gave her for Thelma. If the world knew her as Thelma, she was going to use that recognition to battle this disease with everything she had. 8 years of being her mother's primary caregiver stretched out ahead of BernNadette like an endless road. 8 years of watching the woman who raised her slowly fade away piece by piece. 8 years of sacrificing her career and her opportunities and her own life to make sure her mother was comfortable and cared for until the end. This is why she disappeared from Hollywood, the real reason nobody knew about for so long. Opportunities didn't dry up on their own, and she didn't lose interest in working. She chose her mother over everything else without hesitation. Love won out over fame, and family trumped fortune every single time. Other actresses from the 70s spent those years building their careers and becoming household names in film, while BernNadette was changing her mother's clothes and helping her eat and holding her hand through the confusion that never ended. 2011 brought Eula Stanislas's death after nearly a decade of battling the disease. BernNadette had spent all that time caring for her, and the loss was devastating in ways she's still processing. Her mother's death wasn't going to be in vain, though, not if she had anything to say about it. Grief turned into purpose almost immediately. The Remembering the Good Times Foundation came into existence in honor of Eula, an organization dedicated to Alzheimer's awareness and supporting caregivers who go through what BernNadette went through. A national spokesperson position with the Alzheimer's Association gave her a platform to travel the country speaking about the disease and educating families about what to expect when it hits home. United Healthcare partnered with her to spread awareness about how Alzheimer's affects the Black community specifically, since that conversation wasn't happening enough in mainstream spaces. U.S. military troops got visits from her too, and she says they're some of her biggest supporters to this day. Writing became her therapy when nothing else could heal the wounds. 5 years it took her, but she published a book called The Last Night, A Caregiver's Journey. A raw and honest tribute to her parents and the journey she went through watching her mother battle Alzheimer's until the very end. Who her parents were, how they shaped her, and how they contributed to not just her success, but the success of all 5 of their children fills the pages. Her father's West Indian fire and her mother's Southern sweetness come alive in the book, showing how together they created something special that lasted beyond their deaths. Making sure they're never forgotten was the whole point of writing it down. Other books followed over the years, including Situations 101, Relationships, a collection of poetry called For Men Only, and Situations 101, Finances, that helped people navigate their own lives. Author, advocate, and voice for caregivers everywhere became her new identity. Thelma was no longer just a character on a TV show. She was a movement with real-world impact. 2024 brought BernNadette into the middle of a completely different kind of fight that caught her off guard. Netflix announced an animated reboot of Good Times, and fans felt excited at first about the possibility. The original cast shared that excitement until reality set in. According to BernNadette, Jimmy Walker, who played JJ, reached out to Norman Lear's office back in 2020 to pitch their own version of a Good Times cartoon with the whole original cast involved, except for Esther Roll, who had passed away years earlier. Ideas and vision poured out of them, but they never heard back from anyone. 6 months later, Netflix announced they were moving forward with a Good Times reboot, but the original cast's input wasn't part of the equation at all. BernNadette got approached to do a small voice role, and she agreed because she thought the show was going to be progressive and honor the legacy of the original series. What she was told made it sound like the show would take place generations later, showing how the Evans family had moved up in the world and escaped the projects. When the trailer dropped, shock hit her like a freight train. The animated reboot showed the Evans family still living in the projects 2 generations later, as if nothing had changed at all. Not only that, but one of the characters was an infant involved in illegal activities, something nobody expected to see on a show called Good Times. BernNadette didn't hold back her feelings and went on TMZ to express her disappointment, saying the show wasn't progressive at all, like she'd been told. Thelma wanted to be a surgeon, and JJ was supposed to become a famous artist. So why would their descendants still be stuck in the same cycle of poverty decades later? Netflix using the Good Times name to get people interested felt like a betrayal, because the show itself had nothing to do with what made the original special to millions of viewers. What made the original Good Times so important was showing a Black family with 2 parents who worked hard and loved their kids and had integrity despite living in the projects. The reboot, according to critics and fans who saw it, seemed to lean into negative stereotypes and outdated tropes that set Black families back instead of moving them forward. Anger spread across social media like wildfire. A petition to cancel the show before it even aired started circulating, with people calling it a cartoon caricature of Black families that did more harm than good. BernNadette revealed something else that made the situation even more troubling and sad. When she saw Norman Lear at his 100th birthday party, just 1 year before he passed away, she asked him about the reboot directly. He looked at her and smiled, but it seemed like he didn't really understand what she was talking about, or couldn't quite place what she meant. She thinks maybe he had a senior moment, or maybe he was told the show would be something different than what it turned out to be in the end. Norman Lear only produced quality work his entire career, and she found it hard to believe he would have signed off on something that contradicted everything the original Good Times stood for in the 70s. April 2024 brought the show's premiere, and it was exactly as controversial as everyone feared it would be. One season was all it lasted before Netflix reportedly canceled it in late 2024, unable to recover from the backlash that never stopped coming. Personal life for BernNadette has been just as eventful as her career through all the drama and ups and downs. 4 marriages have come and gone, starting with her high school sweetheart Thomas Fauntleroy in June 1974, right when Good Times was taking off and making her famous. 1978 brought the end of that marriage. Brooklyn nightclub owner Darnell Johnson became husband number 2 in January 1979, but that didn't last long either. Marriage number 3 connected her with mechanical engineer Terrence Redd, and together they had her first daughter, Dior Ravel, who was born around April 1982. That marriage also ended in divorce like the others. Kevin Fontana became husband number 4, and this one stuck in ways the others never did. Reports from 2012 mentioned they'd already been married for 31 years at that point, which means they likely got together in the early 80s when she needed stability. Kevin fathered her second daughter, Brittany Rose, and raised Dior as his own without making distinctions between them. He's also her manager now, helping her navigate her career and advocacy work with the business savvy she needs. Grandmother status came when Dior had a child named Leto, and BernNadette embraced it completely. Atlanta, Georgia is where she lives now, staying active on social media, where over 270,000 followers on Instagram keep up with her every move. Videos of herself dancing with her daughters get posted regularly, along with content embracing her natural hair and living her best life without apologies. 71 years old now, she looks absolutely incredible in ways that defy logic. Comments constantly flow in from people saying she looks like she's in her 30s or 40s, and honestly, they're not exaggerating one bit. Acting hasn't completely disappeared from her life either, even with all the advocacy work taking up her time. 2016 brought an appearance on an episode of the comedy series Black Jesus, where she played Charlie Murphy's girlfriend in a role that reminded people she could still bring it. A photo exists of her on set, standing between John Witherspoon and Charlie Murphy, 2 legends who have since passed away and left holes in comedy that can't be filled. John Witherspoon died in 2019, and Charlie Murphy passed in 2017, making that photo a piece of history that means more now than it did then. Carl Weber's The Family Business on BET Plus featured her in 2019, proving she can still command the screen when she wants to. That same year saw her participating in a Good Times reunion special on ABC, bringing the original cast back together for fans who never stopped loving the show and never will. Book signings and speaking engagements fill her schedule regularly, and she continues using her platform to fight Alzheimer's and support caregivers who are going through what she went through with her mother. A memoir called Good Times, Memoir of an American Sweetheart, recently became available for pre-order, and in it, she promises to tell her full story without holding anything back, the good and the bad, and everything in between that made her who she is. $6 million is what her current net worth sits at, which isn't bad at all for someone who spent a decade away from the spotlight caring for her mother instead of chasing fame. What's the real takeaway from BernNadette Stanis' story when you look at everything she's been through? It's not that she disappeared from Hollywood. It's not that the industry forgot about her or moved on to younger actresses. It's that she made a choice most people couldn't make and wouldn't have the strength to follow through on. Sacrifice over stardom became her path. Her mother over her career was the decision she made without hesitation. Love over everything else won out every single time. In a world that tells us fame and money are the ultimate goals worth pursuing at all costs, BernNadette walked away from both to be a caregiver for someone who no longer even recognized her. That takes a kind of strength most people will never understand or possess. When her mother passed, she didn't wallow in grief or disappear into bitterness. Pain turned into purpose almost immediately. Advocate, author, voice for millions of people dealing with Alzheimer's became her new identity. The face her mother gave her, the face of Thelma that America fell in love with, now fights a disease that's killing Black women at alarming rates nobody talks about enough. That's legacy in its purest form. That's impact that lasts beyond entertainment. That's what it means to be more than just a character on a TV show that aired 50 years ago. BernNadette Stanis is still here and still fighting and still beautiful and still inspiring people half a century after Good Times first aired. Sometimes the most important role you'll ever play isn't on a screen at all. It's in real life, taking care of the people you love when they need you most. Hollywood could never give her that kind of fulfillment. Only she could give that to herself. The world knows her name, just like her mother said it would all those years ago. But now they know her for so much more than Thelma. Survivor, caregiver, advocate, and woman who chose family when the world told her to choose fame are the labels that define her now. That's the real story of BernNadette Stanis. That's the untold truth of what happened to Thelma. And that's why, at 71 years old, she's still one of the most respected and beloved figures from that era. Not because she stayed in Hollywood chasing roles, but because she knew when to leave it behind for something that mattered more than any paycheck or red carpet ever could.